Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us today for the 10 TV Plus Weather Impact Show. Meteorologist Meredith Garofalo, joined by the one and only Tracy Townsend. We're so happy you're joining us today to get a little bit of weather updates.
This is great. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. I wish the weather was better. We were talking about this all morning. Just, I mean, layers and
it's cold.
It's still cold right now. And but you know, for females at least, you know, and some guys too, the fashion's fun. I love pulling out my winter stuff.
A nice wrap. Because it's not like, you know,
right,
uber cold. It's cold.
It's cold. You'll probably want gloves. You know, even into the afternoon today, it's still going to be chilly.
Yeah.
But we are going to talk about that. That is one of our big weather headlines, as well as the flooding concerns. Now, the good news is that's going back down. So we are going to start to see the rivers go back to their normal heights, but there's still a freeze warning that is going to be in place tonight, overnight into Wednesday. And also on Wednesday, we do have the rain chances that return. So that freeze warning, this was what was earlier this morning. We're going to see a repeat of that again as we go into overnight tonight and into your Wednesday morning. And you can see this includes most of central Ohio. Now, even the counties that are not included in that, it's still going to be pretty cold. This just has to do with the planting, the growing season. And I always like to send out those reminders as you did overnight into this morning. You want to protect the peas, the plants, the pipes, the pets. And then the fourth P is people. You want to make sure you're protecting yourself from this kind of cold, just little things. But with the wind chill or the feels like continuing to stay in the 30s, you know, it's going to be a cold afternoon and even a little bit of a breeze. And you know, your body loses heat the stronger the wind is, and that's where that wind chill factor comes into place. But as we move into the rest of today, that sun will still be out in full force. In fact, as we go into this late afternoon, early evening, some clouds will start to stream in, but really they don't stick around. And you can see overnight, we really don't have any clouds on our 10 weather impact hour by hour forecast. Clouds they're a good thing for us on these colder nights because they held in and trapped some of that heat. But with no clouds, it's like not having a blanket on. You lose all that heat and then it's quite cold. So Wednesday morning, just like this morning, we are going to be below freezing with the air temperature. Now, as we move forward into the afternoon, we have our next storm system approach. It doesn't look like, as of right now, that we'll have this during the commute time, but just to be safe, you'll know that we'll start to see some as the sun goes down. And this will be a colder rain that comes across the region. You could see that even maybe some quick blasts of heavier wet snow for our northernmost counties as we go overnight into early Thursday. Now, it does look like we could get some bands with the current track of some heavier downpours, but this is not looking to be an event like we just saw that triggered all of the river flooding. So good news on that. We're still going to watch it, make sure there's not high rain rates there. But by late morning, early afternoon on Thursday, you can see things move out. Still might have some isolated showers as we go into the forecast later in the day. Now, looking ahead, though, we are watching the long-range forecast because we have a little low-pressure system here that's sitting and spinning over us. And what that's going to do is you can see continuing to bring in some moisture, but also continuing to bring in some rain for us for our Friday. And then this is going to eventually get pulled out into the New England region, but you can see that that does stick around, maybe still having some brief showers along the lakefront off to our east as we go into Saturday morning. And it's all going to depend on when this gets pulled out to the northeast. If it sits and spins here over Pennsylvania, we'll have chances of rain continuing into early Saturday. If it moves off to the east, you can see by Sunday things will start to really die down. But overnight Monday, though, it does look like we could get some brief showers come through. And then we'll have to watch out for another round of showers on Monday. But if everything stays on track, we are looking at some of the warmest air as we move forward into the beginning of the work week. But for today, sunny and cold, 44 to the actual air temperature for the high. The feels like, though, because of those gusty winds, will be in the 30s. As we go into tonight, again, a rinse and repeat. Freeze alerts overnight, so it'll be a frosty start to the day as we get into your Wednesday. 28 for the low, and then 53, and I say dry early like I showed us on the hour by hour. We'll have those chances of rain later in the day, kind of right when the sun is going down, continuing overnight. But the good thing is we're finally going to get much closer to normal as we get into the immediate week, which does look like for now we'll be in good shape as far as Easter goes, and we'll be right at average as far as the precipitation goes. And so, again, we'll be keeping a close eye on that for you, especially around those holiday forecasts. But the Guardians home opener today, we're actually going to be pretty cold for that, but not the coldest on record. That was actually back in 2016, 34 degrees. The warmest on record was actually temperatures in the 80s, and that was back in the 1800s when the actual Cleveland franchise of baseball started. So going to be some wild weather, that's for sure. But the good thing is if you're going to the OSU game on Saturday, temperatures as we get into halftime and the final score going to be in the 50s. So it'll be cool, but not as cold as what we're dealing with today. So the weekend forecast, you'll see, we're going to be really starting to climb as we move forward in time. And then looking ahead, it's actually going to warm up pretty quickly for us once we get past Saturday. Again, it is going to come with some chances of rain, so we'll probably be updating that, Tracy. But, you know, it's just these next couple of days. It's cold.
Except I'm TGIM. Monday looks good.
Yeah, everyone's going to be happy, and we're all going to be here
Right.
on Monday morning just celebrating that. So
it's great.
It is good news. Now, while we are still dealing with some river flooding, we want to talk about that across central Ohio. It's nothing like what the people in Cincinnati and Southwest Ohio are dealing with, and that's an area that's close to Tracy's heart.
Sure.
Unfortunately, devastating floods impacting the Queen City. I mean, just look at these images. The Ohio River rising up more than 60 feet.
And that's a really great concert space there along the riverbanks, and of course right outside the ballpark there, the banks where they have, you know, the Great American Ballpark, and then not far away you can see where the Bengals play, but right in between that living and shopping space, the banks, just the water. I saw somebody kayaking.
That's crazy.
It's just, you just hope and pray that that recedes soon, and then they'll get a look at the damage.
Yeah, and a lot of longtime residents are saying they just can't believe their eyes.
This is the highest I've seen the water in my lifetime, so it's definitely historic. I wanted to come down here and see.
Now, a flood warning does remain in effect in the Cincinnati area until Friday. And of course, for some of our local rivers, we're still going to see those issues as well. And it's not just there. Also across the river in Kentucky, 4 people have died from intense flooding. The high waters overtook communities, closed hundreds of roads, and caused many people to leave their homes. Their residents of Frankfort, for example, they're still trying to process what happened.
You're used to seeing storms last a couple days, if it's a bad storm, a day or two, but this was 6 straight days of heavy torrential downpour. And again, with already saturated ground, there's just nowhere for it to go. And so it's got to go up. And it did. And it did.
Oh, well, at the time you don't really think about the emotions. You're just in that mindset of we got to get this done, hurry up and get out of here, you know, and just the emotions hit the day after.
And our thoughts and prayers are certainly with them. The governor of Kentucky also said more than 1,000 people had no access to water and thousands more under boil advisories. As we know with flooding, Tracy, you know, it's not just a one-day thing.
Right.
There needs to be that time for the river levels to go back down, and hopefully some of those businesses will be able to reopen this weekend.
And people will get in and be able to get that water out of their homes before
Right.
there's damage that can set in. And hopefully their insurance policy helps a little bit.
Exactly. We've talked about that. Make sure you have the policy before the flooding
Yes,
starts.
it's quite a mess.
Well, we are so glad you could join us for your weather update here on
Just a good
10
time.
TV Plus. Exactly. And coming up later tonight, we'll have Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz. He will have the latest on this cold and also our chances for rain. But the good news is it's looking like it's not going to be as intense as what we just saw.
All right, it's great.
We'll see you back in a bit, but weather online always at 10tv.com. Have a great afternoon.